Hello, and welcome to this Yale School of Management Alumni Careers webinar. My name is Cindy Cornell, and I'm the career coach for working professionals here. And I support both our experienced SOM alumni as well as our MBA for executive students. I'm happy that you're here today, and we're going to be speaking about optimizing your LinkedIn profile. While many job seekers find amazing opportunities through referrals by their networks, their LinkedIn profile makes it really easy for people to understand their skills, experience, and interests. So today we're going to dive in and have some conversations about what you can do to make your LinkedIn profile stand out and support your job search in ways that perhaps it hasn't to date. First things first, though, I want to make sure that we're actually focusing on our time together and that you are open to asking questions, either in the webinar today or perhaps later on by making a coaching appointment with me, and that you know that this is recorded. So if there's any parts that you want to come back to and look at later, you are welcome to do that as well. There are lots of alumni career webinars, and I want to thank my colleague Kayla Heaslip in the Alumni Relations Office for organizing all of these. And she will later on in the session be sharing a survey with you. So please do also take time to fill that out, because we want to make sure that we're offering content that's valuable to you. As we speak about our agenda today, I am hopeful that by the time we leave, you're going to be more aware of some of the robust potential that LinkedIn has as a tool in your job search, and that you are inspired to invest a little bit more perhaps than you have to date in the tool and updating and sharing information within it. And I'm also going to give you some really concrete steps you can take action with today. And I'm hopeful that you are excited about these opportunities for improvement and are aware of new ways for you to both contribute value to our greater community as well as to help other people. Again, thank you for being here, and thank you also for sharing your thoughts at the end in terms of your comments for suggestions for improvement, and also what worked. And also please note that we do have in the Q&A an opportunity for you in the Q&A to ask questions today, and I'll try to leave room for that as well. So an overview, first of all, what the heck is LinkedIn? It's a tool. It's and you're all here for reasons, so you're all aware of LinkedIn. I want to make sure that we're really thoughtful about kind of what we're trying to get out of it today. So I'd love for you to take a moment and really think about, why did you come and what are you hoping to get out of this? I get asked occasionally, not that often, but occasionally from people, do I really need a LinkedIn profile? I'm not really a social media person. And I just want to let you know that as of September of 2021, LinkedIn has 774 million registered members from over 200 countries and territories. So if you're not there, you might be missing out on a few connections. It's different from a resume. It supports the resume. Some of the things are similar, and you must make sure that your resume and your LinkedIn profile align and there's no discrepancies, because for some people, some companies, if there's discrepancies, when they kind of look at the two, that's an easy way for you to get booted out of the candidate pool. But it does actually support your broader career plan and strategy, because it's speaking a bit more about where you'd like to go. It's a marketing tool. Helping people to understand what your offer is and what you might be really good at. I'd love you to think of it as a tool in your toolbox, one of many. You choose how to use it. It's a platform to communicate who you are and what you'd like to do. It gives you an opportunity to expand your reach through groups. And it also helps you to build trust and rapport with people through endorsements and recommendations, where others in your network might be sharing about you, so that people are aware that it's just not you saying these things, but other people are feeling those and experiencing you in these ways as well. Again, just one tool in your development process, in your career search process. And I encourage you also to play with it from a perspective. It helps you to know yourself a little bit better, going back to my friend Socrates. Some people say your network is your net worth. And I just wanted to kind of share with you this silly little description of LinkedIn that I got off of Wikipedia. It talks about the fact that LinkedIn is an American business, and it's an employment-oriented online service that operates via websites and mobile apps Launched on May 5th, 2003, the platform is primarily used for professional networking and career development, and also allows job seekers to post their CVs and employers to post jobs. It's kind of a boring description. That's similar to some really bad profiles I've seen on LinkedIn. It's not terribly engaging. It shows, it tells, it doesn't show. So I want you to think about that story, and you really can't see yourself in it with them. Hopefully in the next few slides, I'll help you to see yourself in LinkedIn in a way that you are excited to engage a little bit differently. What's in LinkedIn? We've got a lot of really interesting things in here. One reason we talked about net worth a second ago in terms of your network and your connections. So let's dive right into salary. LinkedIn has a lot of features outside of just your profile. It has a salary tool. It has connections to different jobs. Knowing your worth is really important as you're looking for jobs, as you're thinking about how you want to contribute professionally in the world. And I want you to know what your worth is, even when you're not looking for a job. Remember, a company can't pay you more than the value you create. So you want to be able to articulate clearly what that value is, and also have done your reconnaissance about, the financials of the organization, so you know how and where you fit in. You combine it with other tools, things like salary.com and Glassdoor and PayScale, other publicly available filings. You'll see links and suggestions to some of these resources also on the Career Resources webinar, the Career Resources page on the alumni portal. Never also underestimate the power of a good old-fashioned Boolean search tool as well. Often when people say that they don't know or they can't find particular salary information for a job, if I pop in a coaching conversation, the name of the company, a title, and salary, amazingly, a whole bunch of different things might pop up. And we can use a couple of those different things to calibrate and get a good idea of what might opportunities be to negotiate. If you can't find, again, like I said, if you can't figure out the exact title, it's totally okay to, kind of figure out a proxy of what you think that it might be. So this is a really great tool on LinkedIn. If you register and you share your salary, they'll share with you a whole bunch of other salaries. And that might help you to understand where you might want to go next. There's an alumni tool, and I love this tool. There's a couple of things I pointed out on this page. This is Yale School of Management, obviously. I hope that you're actually following the page and that you are aware of this tool. You can actually click on alumni. You can see where they live. You can put start years and finish years for alumni, and you can look at posts from the school and so many other things. I can't tell you the number of times that people have told me that they don't know anyone at a particular company. And typically when I'm coaching people, I'm connected with them already on LinkedIn. And I can actually see, well, if I'm connected to this person and you say you don't know anyone at this company, you're one person away from potentially that person. And sometimes they even know that person. They just didn't actually look to see if they knew anyone at that company. So use that alumni tool to figure out who is at the companies that you're interested in, who's in businesses that you're interested in. I often use this in conjunction with the alumni directory on the career portal, or you can use both. Maybe figure out from the alumni tool who's in a certain company, and you can pop over to the alumni directory and perhaps find their personal email and send them a personal note there, as well as sending them a link request on LinkedIn. So lots of ways to use this alumni tool in LinkedIn for research. So just trying to share with you some tools that maybe some people haven't used yet. They also have this tool for companies. We'll look at that in a few minutes. You can use Boolean search tools here as well to refine your search. You see where it says search alumni by title, keyword, or company. So that's something that you can peek at as well. So moving right along, and other LinkedIn overview tools, recruiters use LinkedIn. This is another really good reason to make sure that you have a robust profile. People will look for you if you're active and you are sharing current information. Again, if you're not looking currently, doesn't mean you shouldn't have a current profile. The opportunity that you may be, your moonshot opportunity or your ideal opportunity that you have never even thought of yet could be out there. Make it easy for people to find you. So think about the fact that 92% of Fortune 1000 companies pay for LinkedIn's recruiter tool to find the proverbial needle in the haystack. They can see if you follow them. So this is a really good reason for you to follow companies that you're interested in, not only to have their information in your newsfeed, but also so that the recruiters can see that you're actually really interested in them. 95% of HR organizations use LinkedIn to source candidates, and increasingly that's a first stop for hiring managers. 75% of hiring managers report looking at LinkedIn profiles to learn about a candidate's background. It's a hint I give people before they go in for an interview. Your hiring manager potentially, or the people you'll be interviewing with, are definitely going to be checking you out on LinkedIn. I encourage you to check them out too, and not to hide and not to kind of think that it's awkward for you to do that, but it's an opportunity for you to connect before you connect and figure out what potential things that you have in common, maybe where you came from, or a school that you attended together, or it could be anything. You could both be alumni of a different firm, and you could know other people there. And that's an instant source of trust and rapport where you find that you're from the same tribe. So please don't hesitate connecting with people beforehand. Amusingly, so many people say, I don't want to kind of seem like I'm coming on too strong. You're doing your research. They're doing their research on you. I want you to do your research on them too, because you want to figure out if they're your people, if you're looking at potentially moving into another organization. 50% of hiring managers decide to move forward or not with a candidate based on their LinkedIn profile. And some tech and D&I employers are increasingly only using LinkedIn for their recruiting tools. So those are some really important reasons for you to, again, make sure you have an active profile that is up to date. Job postings is another reason for you to actually be active in LinkedIn. And there's some jobs that you can actually just click a note and say easy apply. This is something that came up. I'd never heard of this company before, but because of my title, I'm a career coach. This came up as something that I might be interested in. You can actually set alerts for similar jobs and save jobs. And it also tells you, if you notice, my applicant rank, top 10% of the applicants that have already put their things in there. This particular one talks about 292 applicants. So I'm thinking about this, and how is my resume going to come to the top? You're still going to want to use your networking. So this is why you want to go back to the Alumni Tool and the company tool and figure out who works there and who you might be able to connect with that you can ask a question of, and maybe they can walk down to HR and have a conversation with them and say, hey, I know Cindy, I'd love you to actually meet her. She's applied, and that little nudge sometimes will get your resume seen sooner than it would have been otherwise. Bunch of reasons to peek here. I do say that the coolest jobs do come through your network. And as you're preparing for roles or thinking about roles and playing with tailoring your resume for roles, I do want you to tailor your resumes for each company, not just each type of job that you're looking for, but each company, because companies have different language. Doing research on the companies and paying attention to job listings even before you're ready to apply is helpful, because you're actually already ready with some of the salient bullet points and stories that you want to explore with the company in an interview process. So check them out. You can, like I said, save jobs. If you're actually wanting to, maybe apply for, prepare for, close some gaps in your resume and apply for a job next year, remember that jobs are posted and then they go away. So if there's some information out there, even for jobs that you're actively applying for, don't assume that the posting is going to stay live. You're going to want to print it, save it somehow so that you can actually go back and refer to it during your interview process in case the company pulls it off the site. So let's see, anything else I wanted to say here? Oh, sometimes when you apply through LinkedIn, they have interview preparation tools as well. And you can take advantage of common interview questions that they have. And it also will provide you with some context for why a company might be asking those questions. and recommending some frameworks for them. You can also refer back to some of the other webinars that we've done in this series, including behavioral interviewing and storytelling and powerful resume bullet points, as well as unpacking job descriptions. A lot of content out there that we've done through SOM, and you have these tools through LinkedIn as well. So there's just an example of a job that popped up in my feed. And again, I mentioned I didn't know a lot about this company. It's a small company. It's the next town north of me. But I can actually follow the company. I can visit their website, and I can actually do some research, just like with the university tool, around who works at this company and what do they do. And perhaps I have some personal connection with some of those folks, and I can reach out to them directly and ask for some more information that could help me to even tailor my resume for the application process even better. I put this out there just because I'm curious for you and what you want to do next. What are the companies out there that you've never considered, that you've never even heard of? There is an amazing opportunity out there that you have not even considered yet. And I want to increase the likelihood that that opportunity finds you because you're actually being thoughtful about your profile. If you have more to learn about LinkedIn, or frankly, any topic, LinkedIn Learning is a really important tool that you can leverage. There's a lot about this robust resources around this particular one is about your pitch and your professional brand. And there's a lot about other career topics and leadership and selling. A client at one point, before I joined Yale, was actually interested in a role in one of the platform marketing companies, the Amazons, Facebooks, et cetera. And he had a very long career in media. And when he went to talk to these folks, they said, "You don't know what we do. You don't understand that." When in fact, he'd been doing what they did longer than those companies had existed. He just wasn't using the right language. So what we did was we found a LinkedIn Learning course about product marketing in that realm, and he was then able to translate what he had done into the language that they were looking for, and all of a sudden he was having really resonant interviews. So there's other things in there too that might be really specific to a pivot that you're trying to make, and you can also leverage beyond LinkedIn Learning, of course, coming back to SOM and checking out what we might have in Yale Insights, and perusing the other content that we have in our podcasts and other videos that we have on the Yale School of Management YouTube page. So many different places for you to learn about things to close gaps. LinkedIn Learning is one of them that can help you. When we talk about branding and communications, these are skills that you're going to use for your lifetime. So I put it out there and say, do you really have time not to learn them? It's going to make things a lot easier. Also, while this conversation today is not about branding, you do own your brand, and you're either owning it well or you're not. So I want you to kind of really think about, have you put the time and thought and effort into LinkedIn? So I've given you a highlight of some of the features of LinkedIn. I really want now to dive in and help you to think about how you might like to invest in the tool, in yourself, frankly, and how you communicate about yourself through the tool. I want you to know the difference as we think about your brand. You have this view of how you see yourself, and the world has a view of how they see you. And you need to understand that it's not always lined up. You want to package yourself with certain themes, with your academic credentials and your professional experience, your activities and your interests, and really kind of think about how that looks to the outside world. What you want your brand to be and what it is may not be the same thing. So test your assumptions. Ask people, what do they think about when they think of you? Does your network see you the way you want to be seen? If it doesn't, you want to tweak your network, or tweak your branding and your communications until it does line up. I made a pivot earlier in my career. I was an accountant to start my career, so I joke sometimes that I'm a recovered accountant or recovering accountant. If I had shared only what I had done, or if people had, kind of put out there that, oh, Cindy's really great at finding the out of balance and discounted cash flow, or she's really fast on the math for Black-Scholes, or any number of things that I don't care to really do anymore, if that was part of my brand and what I was known for, that wouldn't really work for me. So I really wanted to kind of play with that until it got to a point that people were calling me for the types of jobs and opportunities that I was excited by. When you take all of these things that you're known for and you package them in as a theme, it gives your evaluator a sense of not only where you come from, but also what you're doing and what your goals are. So I do want you to kind of be thoughtful about this in a way that you're able to really invite in the types of conversations that you're looking for. So at the top, are you a LinkedIn All-Star? There's a lot of different elements of the LinkedIn profile. We're going to look at a couple in a few minutes. I want to make sure that your headline and your summary and there's elements of it that just draw people in. You want to have it complete, and you want to make sure that you're thinking about, why would my target pause in a busy day and spend a few minutes over my profile getting to know me before potentially reaching out? And again, this is even when you're not looking for a new job. You want to keep this up to date, in part because you have a lot of valuable expertise to share with the world. The world is moving quickly, and you staying in and active in LinkedIn is not only going to have you top of mind for others who might be looking to come into your role or company, but also helping to continue to grow your brand as your interests evolve in our very rapidly changing future of work. This is a partial list of the things that you can refine in your profile. There's a lot of things to consider. LinkedIn often makes suggestions about what you could do to make your profile better. Peek at those and see what it is that they're suggesting that you add. They do help. FYI, I start with a headline up at the top. The default, if you put there, is going to be your current company and your current job. And I encourage you that, some people are afraid to update their LinkedIn profile because that's what they have. Change it when you're not looking. Change it when you've just gotten into a new job, and don't have it be that. Because oftentimes when you change it, people think it might be a sign that they're thinking about leaving. I really want your headline to be something that is bigger than any job that you've ever been in, and it reflects who you were and who you'll be, without being aligned with or having you simply be a person that works for a company and a job. You're so much more than that. So going back to the job profiles and the opportunities, when you click on a job, you can actually see, this is some competitive information about that job that I was looking at a few slides ago with you. I have 10 out of the top 10 skills among the other applicants. And it gives you an idea. I was in the top 10%. These skills here are actually skills that I actually selected in my profile and that you can select in yours. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, but if you want perhaps people to endorse you for skills that are important for roles that you're interested in the future, you need to make it easy for them by highlighting the skills that are going to be attractive to the opportunities that you're interested in. So again, this is a robust tool if you're really thinking about how all the pieces come together. What do you want to showcase? What is interesting? I don't necessarily want you to kind of change your skills for every single job that you're potentially applying for. You want to have a group of themes. Note that this says it's the skills among the other applicants. It's not necessarily skills that the job poster is looking for. It does, though, give you an idea of who else is actually applying, and how you compare. It's also, and the other thing I'd look at it and say, for those things that you might not have that other people have, is that a potential gap, perceived or otherwise, that you want to proactively address either in your LinkedIn profile or in your resume application? So let's move on and have a peek at a profile. This is a real profile that I pulled off of LinkedIn. And I suspect that you're probably not going to want to spend a lot of time with this profile because frankly, there's not a lot to look at here. I refer to this top part of the LinkedIn profile as the billboard. And I want to make sure that you get that right, because if you get it right, people are going to pause and spend some more time with you. And if you get it wrong, they're not going to remember your name. So please don't be that guy. If you didn't walk in today with having an intention around social media and an intention around your profile here, I hope that this inspires you to create one. What could this person have done differently? Well, first of all, I would have liked some visuals. That could have been helpful. I would have also liked him to have checked for spelling errors, which there's one in the headline, which is pretty scary. And, there's maybe more than 113 connections that this person knows. Beyond this, what you can't see is that his hyperlink is not tailored. Many people have tailored hyperlinks. Mine is just my name, Cindy Cornell. This one happens to be that guy -05A to 4B1. Please make sure that you update your profile so it can easily be just even copied and pasted and put onto your resume. They're going to check you out anyway. Make it really easy by having that tailored hyperlink as part of your resume. There's no about section in this particular profile. There's no activity. There's no likes or posts or otherwise. He does have a few endorsements, but there's no recommendations. And in fact, I know that the person moved away from the place that it lists that the person is from about 10 years earlier. So it really is not an active profile. So want to think about a different one. And this is a profile from an alum who's actually done some pretty cool things, doesn't now work at Volvo, has moved on. When I first saw his profile, it said as the headline, product manager, Volvo Cars and Yale School of Management candidate, MBA candidate. It now says driving sustainable growth through purpose and values, authentically fulfilling brand promises. Smiling headshot, professionally done. There's a nice photograph behind that maybe might cause you to stop and look at it. The headline is unique, it's professional, and as I mentioned a few minutes ago, it transcends any role or experience, and it applies to how he shows up to life, not just what somebody calls him as a job title. Beyond this, you can't see it. He has a really well-developed summary about section that clearly demonstrates his strengths in a way that might encourage his target audience to proactively reach out to him. Another feature that is new to LinkedIn in the last few years is the ability to feature content. Just below this part on LinkedIn, you can actually have a couple of, kind of permalinks, if you will, to content that you think is relevant to your brand. In my profile, I've shared a few things this way. One was the Future of Work webinar that I did with SOM alum Jeff Schwartz earlier this year. And another was a LinkedIn post that I'd shared. It was an article that got, something like 162,000 views globally. And because it was such resonant content with so many people, I put it up there as a permalink so that I could easily refer to it in the future. So you could actually think about what content might you want to share in that way as well. So hopefully you can see the difference between that guy and this guy, and it inspires you to make some adjustments for yourself. So moving on into things that you can do starting now. I want you to remember, this is the big idea. This is so important. The LinkedIn profile is not for you, it's for them. You may have done some really cool things in the past that aren't necessarily relevant to what you want to do in the future. By not including it on LinkedIn, that's okay. It doesn't take that away from you. It just is clarifying what it is that you're looking to do, what your offer is in the future. And I did do a webinar, I think early on in 2020, about clarifying your offer. So you want to think about what you're offering, what you want to do in the future, and that's going to tailor or inform what you're going to share about yourself. And then you're going to further refine that by being clear about who you're seeking to attract. And finally, after you've made adjustments to your LinkedIn, you're going to pause and look and say, does this in fact attract my target audience, my desired audience? They're going to be looking at your profile, asking themselves, what's in it for me? How is this person going to help me sleep better? How is this person going to solve this problem that is either emerging in our organization, we anticipate through the evolving future of work, or that is, causing us so much challenge today? How will this person help me? And you want to pop out that way. It's not a list of your past accomplishments. It is an advertisement for how you can communicate what you do in the future. So think about perhaps 3 to 5 things you want people to remember about you, themes. You might use this as well as a screen when you're putting your resume together. People scan LinkedIn profiles and they also scan resumes. So if somebody hands me a resume and says, hey, is this good? I'd want to actually know, kind of how to read it, what you're looking for. And I also sometimes, if I just have a little bit of time, and we don't have a lot of time to go into, all the details, I'd maybe just step back and say, what 3 to 5 things do you want somebody to remember about you after looking at your resume or your LinkedIn profile? And you're wanting to make sure that those themes are coming through consistently in language that's resonant to the organization and the industry and the function that you're wanting to move into. Please do translate it into what they need in terms of skills and outcomes. You have to do the research, though, to understand them so that you can actually make that translation for them. If you leave it to them to make the translation, they're busy and they're struggling with, needing that person to hurry up and get here to fix the problem. They're probably not going to take the extra time that you need to translate. So again, the big idea is it's for them. I do want you to leverage your network. I mentioned this earlier. Think about who you've got. You do have LinkedIn connections and you have personal friends with whom you might not have actually already connected on LinkedIn. You have people that you went to school with in your undergraduate institution. I actually attended my high school reunion a couple of weeks ago, and I'm connected with people. LinkedIn didn't exist. The internet didn't exist when I went to high school, and I'm connected on LinkedIn with people that I have known for almost my entire life. And that's kind of cool. Those people care about you. They know you really well, and their networks, we are connected to, each other through our own personal networks and then tangentially through their networks. If I put out to my network that I'm looking to meet people in X space, I have a lot of people who might be interested in making those types of introductions for me if I'm clear about that. I always want you to make a thoughtful connection. Please, even if you're on social media, on LinkedIn, on your phone, you always want to send a note with your connect request. There are ways to do it. Your mobile devices, click the ellipses, look for more options. Please definitely send a note and let people know if it's somebody that you haven't met yet, if it's somebody that perhaps you have found through one of the SOM databases, if it's somebody that maybe is an industry influencer in an area that you have growing interest. You want to let them know how you found them. You want to let them know why you're seeking to connect and what it is that you appreciated about their content or something about what they've shared that makes that would make for a meaningful connection. Acknowledging them is sometimes enough, but really be thoughtful about what you share. I also want you to kind of think about reaching out to people maybe who have viewed your profile. If you're active, if you're sharing things, people are as likely to look at your profile as you might be likely to look at theirs. And if you're a premium member, you can actually see who looked at you. And you can, unless some human resources functions or recruiters stay intentionally anonymous, you can, reach back and ask them what's, what attracted them to your profile, and is there something that you can help them with? It's a nice way to grow your network if they are within what you're trying to create as a relevant brand. Maybe they're reaching out because there's something that they can do or you can do for them, and it's sometimes fun to help our networks too, as opposed to just being helped, right? I spoke to an alum recently who was absolutely delighted to share that she'd recently reconnected with a classmate who she hadn't spoken with in 15 years. And they picked up right where they left off because we had that, or they had that connection before they left. So again, there's lots of people, lots of sharing. They found some immediate current benefit from that connection simply because I might have nudged one of them to reach out to the other because, you know, there was such alignment that I could see that they hadn't figured out yet. For job seekers and anyone, stay in touch with quality people in your industry, including people that you perhaps have interviewed with in the past. Just because you maybe didn't get that job doesn't mean you're not going to circle back around and see each other in 3 or 5 years when you've each moved again. So you know, careers are long. I've said this in webinars before. Careers are long, and the world is small if you pay attention. So you know, keep in touch with folks. If you've recently changed roles, also, I had this conversation with some MBA for executive students just the other day. So many people have changed roles within school. They had this early face sheet that talked about where everybody was from, and they're saying, oh my gosh, there's been so much movement. I'm not sure where people are right now. So that's another opportunity for you to positively reach out to your network. Not in a form letter, please, never in a form letter, but really reaching out and letting people know where you are, what you're doing. Thanksgiving is a great time to reach out and say that you're thankful for a role that they played in your career development. If you've moved into a new role this year, share with your networks, you know, news like that, share with your networks, what you think, share with your networks, smart ideas. And even if you're commenting on something, commenting on another person's content, congrats on the job. Say something a little bit more, because when people look at your activity, they can see what you said. So congrats, you know, Cindy, or whatever it might be, isn't necessarily helping them to want to click on your name and figure out who you are and what you're congratulating the person on. If you share something that's a little bit more tailored and relevant, that might cause you to make a new connection because somebody clicks through to see what you had to say and thought that it was a smart observation about the person that they also know. Let's see here. Again, sharing with your network who you are and how you think is going to help you to have opportunities come to you. I talked about in game-changing job search resources, the fact that 60% of job opportunities are never posted anywhere. And in another webinar where we talked about, you know, kind of where to find the jobs, LinkedIn is an aggregator. Some of the jobs on LinkedIn might have actually been on LinkedIn or been posted on internal company websites for weeks before it ever made it to LinkedIn. So again, you want to make it easy for your network to bring things to you. Anyone can help. We can't focus on everyone. So again, I want you to think about who and how you spend time with in your network, and participate in ways that are really powerful. Which brings me to this idea of participating. Please don't be a wallflower. Please be out there and sharing a little bit more about yourself. Where do you want to share? You want to share groups. You want to share your own posts. You want to comment on and share other people's posts. And I affectionately refer to stalking other companies or individuals, influencers. Tell them thank you for things that move you, that you found useful. If you share a post by an HBR researcher or, you know, an industry leader, you can actually tag them in your share so that they know that you're amplifying their messages. And that's another way to kind of draft on other people's brands as well in powerful ways, and potentially open up new doors for yourself in the process. What do you want to post? Valuable content that showcases your expertise. Posts with photos are shown to get 10 times plus more engagement than posts without photos. leveraging, like I said, other people's content to build your brand, where you're also adding a thought to it. Some things speak for themselves, and some others, it might benefit you to pull a quote out of it and share a piece of your own insight, your intellectual observations. Again, is going to show people how you think, because that's why they're going to want to invite you into their company, because they think you can help them to think better and solve some problems that they might be facing. Let's see. This is important too. Recognize that anything that you like is going to show up in your activity. If somebody clicks on your name and looks at activity, you might want to just think about, is this aligned with my brand? Is there anything in here that could be incongruent with that could cause confusion? So, kind of be aware of that, especially when we get into things that might be polarizing topics. Let's see, what else? Do I have anything else here? Oh, this is an important one too. And a great way to participate is by sharing recommendations and endorsements. I mentioned skills earlier. Curate the skills that you're listing, because those skills are going to be things that people can click on and say you're really good at. And I also want to encourage you to think about how you want to endorse people from a perspective of the recommendations, testimonials, some people call them. That is third party, kind of confirmation that you are who you say you are, and gives people some things maybe to be curious about or ask questions of. I know that when I was coming to Yale, one of the people who'd given me a recommendation is somebody that knew one of my interviewers, and I was able to actually point that out because I'd connected with the interviewer in advance, so knew that that was a common person. So that endorsement actually meant even a little bit more than it would have if they just, kind of scrolled through them quickly. It's okay to ask people for endorsements. If you do that, you don't want to ask 10 people at once, because you don't want too many things to fly through at once, and it looks like you're trying to stack them up. You can also, though, be thoughtful about letting them know why you're asking for it and how that would help you in your career progression, and even offer them up some language that could be helpful, so that they don't have to sit there and say, oh shoot, what do I want to say? You've given them some idea, and they can then edit it at will. So hopefully there's some ideas there that you can think about how you might like to participate differently. Lastly, I'm just pointing out that we're on a page for the, this is the MBA for Executives, Alumni, and Students group. If you're an EMBA, please make sure you're in this group. You can also see on the left-hand side, there's Association for Yale Alumni, there's the Yale School of Management page, the official page that's managed by Kayla Heaslip, who's on the webinar with us today. And you can actually post in, and participate in those groups too. Again, there's others that you could join also. So we covered a lot, and you might be looking at all of this and say, well, should I have to participate? I have to update my profile. What the heck am I going to say? Before we actually dive in and start typing, I would love for you to, make some notes for yourself, a keyword brainstorm, if you will. If you were that hiring manager, what are the things that you'd be looking for? And just write down what are some of those things that might pop out in if you're thinking about an artificial intelligence screen or a search engine optimization. If an employer were to do a Boolean search, just like we were talking about doing Boolean searches earlier, if they were to do a search in LinkedIn for certain experiences that would help them to solve a problem in a job, would those things be in your profile? Would those words be there? And maybe they are, maybe they're not. Before you start typing and saying, okay, looks good, I'd love you to kind of just make some notes for yourself about what some of those words might be. You can refer to it later. You can add to it, you can delete, but give yourself 5 minutes to come up with those words. You'll probably come up with most of the important ones in that amount of time. If you actually then go on and look at some job descriptions, you might come up with a few more words that you want to add in that are going to be aligned with things that you'd like to do in the future. And since we're talking about job descriptions, can you even come up with 3 or 4 job titles that you would be super excited to move into? Again, we're not trying to advertise for the level that you're at. We're trying to advertise for the level that you're looking to move to. So are the words that are associated with those types of jobs in your profile in a way that's going to make it easy for people to see you, find you, and see your potential? If you can't answer that, you're going to make it really difficult, both for yourself and for those people to find you. These, again, are all the building blocks of your personal brand. Not our topic today, your personal brand. There's a couple of LinkedIn learning topics on that, and perhaps we'll cover that in greater detail on another day. I do know I've talked about it in pieces in a number of our other career webinars. Let's see what else here. This is my very favorite LinkedIn tool. It is on our SOM careers webpage under general career support. And this course is fabulous. They update it regularly. I did it when I started at SOM, and I'm a pretty good LinkedIn user already. This really helped me to see kind of what was behind the scenes, because I'm not a user of some of the Sales Navigator and Recruiter elements of LinkedIn. So if you're curious about how those might work, this course will help you with that. Again, you're going to be using LinkedIn for your entire career likely. So please do take advantage of this resource. So that brings us to pretty much the end of what I had prepared. And I'm hopeful that I think I see a couple of questions popping in. And I do also want to remind you that we do have a survey. So I believe Kayla is going to put that up into the chat box. I'm hopeful that, again, as I said earlier, that if you didn't come here today with a LinkedIn strategy, that you're leaving with at least the start of one. Hopeful that you can see the powerful role that LinkedIn can play in your job search, and even not even job search, in your career success as you're reaching out and collaborating with others, maybe in supplier organizations or seeking out new business partners. There's really so much content and information in there. As you're exploring, kind of new ideas, things that you're interested in, exploring ideas around the future of work, really kind of thinking more broadly about your business than just the job you're in today. I hope you're inspired to make a few changes today that can actually make a difference for you. And I'm also hopeful that you're also committed to having this be part of an ongoing process. Going back again and reminding you of all of the resources that are available. Upcoming webinars, I'll remind you, SOM alumni, when you're receiving the monthly newsletter, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's always a little bit of news from me sharing a couple of sample job listings that are posted on our internal SOM alumni job site, and also links to all of the prior career webinars that we've done, as well as other resources that are helpful to you. Wherever you are in your career journey, we're here. If you're considering a future change, again, there's lots of resources here that you can peek at on a regular basis. And again, please don't forget to check the events page on the alumni portal on a regular basis. You'll find upcoming webinars here, for career webinars, as well as some really other amazing content that will help you to be an expert in areas that you might want to be an expert in, and you can share those out with your networks as well. Again, I want to say a big thank you to my colleague, Kayla Heaslip in Alumni Relations, for the role that she plays behind the scenes to help make all of these happen. And let me, now move into your questions. If you do have a question that you want to have one-on-one for SOM alumni, you can make an appointment with me directly. But otherwise, let's dive in and see what you guys have here. Just peeking at the chat. Oh my gosh, also there's lots of things in the chat. Let me start with the questions, and then Kayla, maybe you can help me with the chat if there's things that I've missed. One question, if you can tailor different versions of your resume for different jobs, how do you handle divergent interests on LinkedIn? For example, interest in both private and non-for-profit sector opportunities without diluting the impact of your profile? It's a really great question. I would actually focus, I showed the circles diagram earlier. We really want to look for the intersection between the two. So what is common in both of those types of organizations. Both have complexities. You're selling ideas in both of them. You're solving problems in both of them. You really want to kind of think about what is aligned across each. So if you are interested, maybe in sharing more about your specific challenge, that could be something to talk about in a private coaching conversation. But I'd really look at kind of where your personal interests are, and what is it that you are looking at in terms of why you have these interests in kind of the public space, and why you have these interests in the private space, and really kind of do that brainstorm, because there is some intersection. Also, your personal story might help. I use an example for folks that might be interested in being a Little League coach, for example. You could have 6 Little League coaches on the side of a field, all there for different reasons. So if you don't just speak to the thing that you do, but speak to the underlying reason why you do it, that could be really powerful in kind of drawing the alignment between the two. Again, we're trying not to get so detailed about a job that we're interested in, but rather problems that we are excited to solve, and sharing the experience that we have that sets us up well to solve those types of problems. Hopefully that's a good start to an answer, and maybe you brainstorm a little bit about that, and we can perhaps look at that together in a private coaching conversation. Another question that's popped up: what about sharing publications? Any insight into the best way to share? Well, I'm not sure exactly what types of publications you're talking about, and I think it's a great space to share publications. I sometimes share books that I'm reading, and a reason why I might be sharing a book. So it's not just that I know something, I've read this, but here's how and why I'm using it in business or in life. If there's articles that you are quoted in, or if you've been published, absolutely, that might be the type of content that I would, kind of hyperlink or permalink up to the top of your profile, because it really shows the depth of knowledge that you have and your expertise in the area. You might also want to share it with other people in your network, or have others share it in your network. You might want to share those types of publications to, places like the LinkedIn group for the Yale SOM alumni and students. And that might get some additional traction there. I know I saw something in my feed just yesterday by an SOM alum, and I immediately said, well, shoot, she didn't actually post it in the SOM alum page, and other people might not know she's got this wonderful CEO job in this company. I immediately forwarded it and shared that content, which I thought was, really helpful to all of you, so that if you went to the SOM alumni group, you could actually see that post from yesterday. But sharing those things there are a good place to share. And anywhere else where you think people might have an interest in it, or maybe you post something and you ask for people to comment. What do you think of that? Where you're seeking to engage in conversation that kind of moves things forward for yourself and for others. Hopefully that answers that question. I'm just now peeking through what we've got. Here's an interesting question. How can we use LinkedIn to overcome unconscious bias? Sometimes you need to reach out to people outside of your tribe. That's a really great question too. I might look at that and say, what is it that that person would say yes to? And when you're saying outside of your tribe, perhaps we're talking about, kind of issues of diversity from a perspective of how we look or where we come from. Sometimes it's where we have worked in the past. Like I mentioned the conversation of the client who wanted to break into a new area, and they're like, "Oh, you're not one of us. You don't know what we do." So we really have to think about what's the language that organization is going to appreciate. And I also want to just point out that there's so much research right now that talks about diversity of thought. and diversity of experience as being an indicator of success for organizations. You want to kind of share what you have to share in a way that you're showing up curiously, and the people see that there's a potential connection. If you have specific questions in that, maybe, we can work through that for your, for you, individually, and really kind of role playing, or you can do that with some of your classmates. You could even reach out to somebody in the SOM community saying, I'm interested in these things, we're connected, so they are they maybe are in a different industry, but you're connected through SOM, or you're connected through, it's really wonderful when you can find people that are both SOM and your undergraduate institution. That can be pretty powerful also. So hopefully that is an answer there. I'm not sure that we overcome unconscious bias, but we do begin to help people to see things perhaps differently, or be curious about things that help us to have some new conversations. How do we best reflect being on a pause from a long career and trying to sort through what comes next? That's a really great question. If you've had a pause, first of all, own the gap, own the pause. And it shows that you're coming back refreshed and ready to kind of do new great work. And then really let's focus on what gives you energy. What are you excited by? You might start off not by calling yourself what you used to do, because those jobs might not exist anymore. The world has changed. There were no career coaches like my job when I was graduating from college. This is something that's just emerged over the last 20 or so years. So you're not necessarily going to go back to doing what you used to do. Let's think about what are the skills that you've enjoyed, and what are the outcomes that you've enjoyed working in the past, and really brainstorming around that. And then we can actually begin to ask our networks. And this is where I might suggest you go back and look at the Clarifying Your Offer webinar. That might help you to find your intersection in terms of what you love, what you're good at, and what you might move into next as a role. But it's a reflection. It's some brainstorming. It's asking others what they see in you in terms of your superpowers and your skills that you might not recognize yourself, and also recognizing that if you've taken a pause, especially if it's to take care of families, that you probably weren't sitting around on the couch eating bonbons. You were really busy and active in a lot of other spaces, and I want you to claim value for that complexity also. Let's see. Oh, somebody liked my discounted cash flow analysis example. Awesome. Yay, accounting. What do we think about liking or connecting with anyone versus just people that you know or have worked with? I'm a big fan of I'm not a LinkedIn open networker, or some people refer to them as lions. I am really clear that I can actually share with people why I've connected with someone. And I'm also really clear that if I can't say something good about somebody, I probably won't connect with them online, because I don't want to necessarily be connected with their brand. And if somebody reached out to me, I wouldn't want to not be honest about that. So I am thoughtful about and curating my network. That said, Dunbar's number says that we can only have about 150 kind of close, relationships, maybe 2,500 people that we are aware of. But so we can't connect with everyone. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn and ask me about somebody, it might take me a few moments to go back and figure out, where did I meet them and why did I meet them? But I would encourage you to curate your brand by connecting with people that you have something in common with, or that you can speak about. Again, the CDO or the site or the recording, it will be posted. And let's see. And I think that was all the questions. Kayla, did you have any other questions that popped up that I missed?
I think that's everything. Thanks, Cindy. This was really awesome.
Great. And I think we are just about at the top of the hour. So with that, thank you so much again for being here today. Catch the recording on the YouTube channel or on the SOM careers page, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.